Vobiscum era solis, fellow commanders. My name is Cychronos, my call sign is Stoneface, and I'm about to embark on a crazy journey. The plan is to go from Sol to Beagle Point in one tank, no scoop, no fuel rat assistance, no refueling along any carriers I happen to find along the way. To my knowledge, this has only been attempted twice before, both times by a wonderful chap by the name of Swanky Criminal. His first attempt ended midway through, I guess, pretty much in a catastrophe. And the second actually saw him within 156 light years of Beagle Point, which is crazy when you think about it. Getting this close to Beagle, from Sol in just one tank, ridiculous, absolute ridiculous. But I hope I can do equally well. And with luck, maybe even a bit better. So let's keep our transponder on open here. Because while Swanky never made it himself, he did leave a bit of advice behind for those that come after him and might want to break his record, as he said, which is not my intention, but we'll get to that in a second. First of all, let's have a look at the ship build. Alright, here we go. Outfitting, okay. Hard points, standard, all empty, right? Utility mounts, equally all empty, because we need to save weight. The core internals. The lightweight alloy, heavy duty grade 4. I wanted to go for grade 5, but I think I didn't have the right materials ready or something. Anywho, is not extremely important, but with a journey that long, it really doesn't hurt to have a few extra points of hull. Wait, let me adjust the audio a bit. Okay, this should be better, right? Yeah, I guess. Never hurts to have a few extra points of hull, because the trip will take north of 20,000 jumps, and with that many jumps, yeah, something will go wrong. Let's not kid ourselves. Let's not assume that we can actually, or that I can actually make any jump or every jump perfect without ever screwing up. I will crash nose first into a few stars along the way. I'm sure of that. So a few extra points of hull will come in quite handy. Also, I'll freely admit I have very little experience piloting Condors. I usually do not fly snake ships on principle, so I couldn't really practice getting a Condor through a mail slot without scratching it. I mean, can get a T9 through it, eyes closed, even a Beluga, but this Condor, I always scratch it, so I guess I'll be leaving the station with like 95% hull or something, but we'll see. Power plant, overcharged grade 2, strip down. I mean, strip down is obvious, we need to save weight. And we need to undersize it so drastically from a class 8 slot because, super cruise consumption, we need to make sure that the ship doesn't guzzle a lot of fuel simply from being powered on. That's why it's grade 2. And the overcharged, the grade 2 is so small that I needed to overcharge it in order to power the most essential modules. Thrusters, 5D clean drive. Here's the thing, this is one of the I guess 3 instances where my build deviates from the blueprint that my predecessor Swanky left behind. According to Swanky's blueprint, they should be clean drive thrusters, but they should be stripped down, which I tried at first, but it turns out this ship build doesn't work. The ship literally can't move because it is too heavy for 5D clean and stripped down thrusters. Luckily, good friend of mine, which we will talk about a bit later, came up with a solution, and the drive distributor experimental actually makes this build viable and makes it work. Frame shift, nothing surprising here. Mass manager, increased range, grade 5. We all know the higher the range, the lower the fuel consumption on shorter jumps. Life support, 5D lightweight, grade 5. Another deviation from the original blueprint. The original blueprint had grade 4 lightweight, probably courtesy of Bill Turner. I don't have access to Turner, so I went to Colonia and yeah, who was it? Yeah, right. An engineer, Etienne Dawn, gave me a grade 5 lightweight. Okay, power distributor doesn't really matter. Strip down, sure, save weight. But this module is powered off all the time anyway. So the actual engineering on it no matters. Sensors, nothing surprising here. Lightweight, grade 5. And the fuel tank, there is no engineering for that. Okay, optional internals, this is the meat of the issue. Fuel tanks all the way, except this one, because we need a Guardian frameshift drive booster. Now, the higher the jump range, like I said, the less fuel is consumed on shorter jumps, and we will of course have to use economy plotting. Fuel tanks, military slot needed to be empty, fuel tanks, and here we come, to the last 2 deviations from the original plan. Swanky had a class 2 autofield maintenance unit in this slot, and the blueprint says there to put nothing in this slot, which, in all honesty, I don't understand. Why leave a slot empty when you can fit a class 1 fuel tank in there? Maybe there is some weirdness in the engineering going on here that I just don't see, or I just don't understand. Well, won't leave a ton of fuel like lying on the road if I don't have to. And this here class 2 fuel tank instead of the autofield maintenance unit, which is what Swanky recommended. He said, that his trip ended 150 light years away from Beagle because, he didn't have enough fuel, well, obviously, but he would have had enough if he had brought another 4 tons of fuel with a fuel tank here. He also said that the AFMU wasn't really necessary, while he did have a few fuck-ups, getting too close to stars, being dropped from Super Cruise, that sort of thing. His modules were pretty fine, so let's hope that, that this here is the crucial difference between his build and mine, and let's hope that this gets us a bit closer to Beagle Point. Alright, so of course, let me set up the modules, because the sensors are still on. We don't want these. Yeah, Guardian frameshift drive, right, okay, so nothing special here. Like I said, power distributor, powered off. Cargo hatch, of course, also powered off. Sensors, we don't need those. Life support, I am not so sure. I mean, there is the option of, powering it off and just refilling it with synthesis materials. But the thing is this. I have 300 refills at most for life support. And at the moment, it's more like 200 because I haven't filled up on materials fully. And each refill gives me 7 minutes. Given that the whole thing will take between 200 and 400 hours, it's just not a viable solution to refill life support manually with synthesis the entire way. It's just not viable. Therefore, why burn through my materials from the start when I can't keep this up. Also, the actual consumption of the life support, the power is only 7%, and this translates to 0.02 tons of fuel in Super Cruise, from having the ship powered on. And 0.02, yeah, that's that's 2 powers of 10 smaller than the actual Super Cruise consumption. So 2 powers of 10. I think we can safely leave this power on. We'll see, towards the later part of the journey, if I ever make it that far. If fuel seems to become an issue, then we can still power it off and refill it manually. But like I said, I don't think that this is a viable strategy. Also, I want the peace of mind of knowing that, as long as the power plant is running, I'm not going to suffocate in my own ship. And I just don't want to have to go to the synthesis tab every 7.5 minutes to refill that. Because I need to focus on jumping. That's another thing. The Super Cruise consumption of this ship is around 1.2 tons an hour. So the amount of time each jump takes is crucial. I've calculated that I need to go, definitely north of 100 jumps an hour, which is tall order, in order to even have a chance to make it as far as Swanky did. because otherwise, if I take too long jumping, the ship will guzzle up more than half its tank in super cruise consumption alone, which is, yeah. I don't want that. I don't want that because, I need the fuel for the distance. It'll still be, I think, around something between 150 and 200 tons of fuel to keep the ship running. So I'll have, 300, 320 tons of fuel to for the actual jumps, to make it the entire distance. So, the numbers aren't great. The numbers aren't great, but Swanky has shown that it is possible to get very close to Beagle. I've pretty much carbon copied his ship. I've integrated his advice. I've practiced my jump skills, when going to Colonia to have this little baby here engineered. So, yeah. I guess I'm as prepared as I can be. So let's have a look here. Okay, but first and foremost, a few thank yous and shout outs are in order. First thank you goes to a few commanders of my former squadron, the Titan contractors. Chiefly Commander Opaque, who gave me this idea of this absolute insanity. I simply wanted to do something crazy, something utterly space madness inducing. And for some reason, I find endless jumping, well, not exactly fun because it's boring as hell, but I find it enticing. Whenever I think about going on a long range journey, just sitting there, seeing jump screen after jump screen after jump screen, it's just, I don't know what it is. It entices me. It makes me want to sit, want to get in the chair, makes me want to sit down in the cockpit and just test myself against the space madness, to see who's the stronger one. So thanks to Commander Opaque. Further thanks go to Commander Sam Pseudo Voodoo, called sign Mouse, Commander Goblin Coffee Shop, called sign Kestrel, and the squadron commander of the Titan contractors, Commander Radumio, also known as Aurora Adair, informal call sign Daddy, and the commander will hate me for saying that, but who cares? They were kind enough to be associated with this entire madness, and they sold me a couple fuel tanks from their carriers, which have been incorporated into this build. All in all, the Titans are an awesome squadron. If you're, let's say, focused on, of your idea about commanding, piloting spaceships, is telling your own story, the Titans are definitely your best bet. If your main language is Galactic Standard English, this is. Awesome bunch of people. I've had great times with them. And there is always something to do with them, so yeah. If you're looking for a, nice bunch of people, go join Titan, is what I'm saying. Further thanks go out to, of course, my own squadron, the Sonnenzornorden, which is Imperial Germanic for Sun Fury Order. First and foremost, and chiefly to our Castellan, which is our fancy way of saying Deputy Squadron Commander. It was actually he who came up with the drive distributor solution for my engineering problem, because otherwise I would have had to oversize the power plant, oversize the thrusters, thus increase super cruise consumption, and basically torpedoing this attempt at making it to Beagle from the start. So thank you, Commander Warhead, or at least that's his chosen call sign, Commander Sherlock Mahomes Warhead. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for helping me out here. And also, thank him for coming up with the second half of this attempt, which he called Operation Snoopy. And yes, I know it's a total dad joke, and I have already put in a petition to make that his call sign. So we'll see how that goes. The second half of Operation Snoopy is that the squadron's main carrier, the flagship Sonnenzorn, will await me at Beagle Point in the hopes of, triumphantly greeting me at the end of this trip. Which we'll see how this goes, but that's the idea. Warhead is responsible for planning out how we can actually get there. We initially fiddled about with, on-the-fly trit mining, but as it turns out, we would need like north of 200 hours of tritium mining on the fly, and no way are we going to do that. So the solution is to involve 3 or 4 more carriers, which we wing mine 4 at Wally Bay prior to me going on the trip. So a squadron now, we had 1 carrier, and now we have 5, I think 5 or 4. Well, we have 4 at the moment, with a 5th in the making, which is nice. So and Warhead is in charge of planning which carrier goes where the fuel transfers happen, and whatnot. Turns out, grinding for 4 carriers actually quite easy at Wally Bay. Big thanks to the pilot trade network, who set up the logistics for that, and who came up with the idea of wing mining in the first place. So further people I owe some thanks to. Aside from Warhead, in the Sonnenorden, there are the commanders, Commanders Dread and Commanders Yaroslav, who will who will pilot some of the carriers that will make it possible for our flagship, piloted by our Lord Protector, which is our fancy way of saying Squadron Commander, Commander Johann Richter, call sign Sirael, who will pilot the flagship to Beagle Point, hopefully. Right, let me have a look at my list here. Okay, so in case your main language is Imperial Germanic, and you're looking for a squadron that's also big on storytelling and telling our own stories, leaving our mark on the galaxy, then come over to the Sonnenorden, and get to know us. We have a wonderful structure, but at the moment, unfortunately, it's extremely empty. So, yeah, we need new commanders, we need new blood to fill it, and lots of possibilities of promotion, because the structure being empty. Okay, that scratches that item off the list. Finally, 1 honorary mention. Shout out goes out to Commander Optimus Stan, Squadron Commander of the Independent Defense Agency, simply because he was the first commander to take me under his wing when I was still a newbie. Right now I have close to 3,000 hours in the pilot seat under my belt. But he showed me the ropes, taught me a lot about, how to change the fate of entire systems, how to manage the different factions, and what have you. Not only a great commander, also an absolutely great human being, always a gentleman, always calm, always collected, always very friendly, and always looking for fellow commanders, both newbies to tutor and experienced commanders to just enjoy doing with what he's doing. So if you're looking for, hands-on expert level mentoring, then go join the Independent Defense Agency, my first squadron, and tell Optimus I sent you. All right, with all that pesky praise out of the way, let's set up our route. And then start this madness. Wait, no, I need to go to the route settings first. Route settings, here we go. Economy plotting. Yeah, I know, economy plotting. I haven't used this since, I don't know, ages. Alright. Beagle Point, here we go. Oh no, not Beagle Point. Ah, yeah, right. As if I could economy plot to Beagle Point. Oh yeah, things are off to a good start. Things are off to a good start. Let's have a look here. Come on. Yeah, there it is. All right, my first stop should be, according to the Galaxy plotter, should be Parrot's Head Sector DSQ A6. Because that's about 100 light years. Parrot's Head Sector. What did I say? Was it DSQ A6? Let's have a look at the galaxy. Yeah, DS-Q A6 2. Okay. Parrot's Head Sector DSHQ A6. Ach. DS-Q A6. No, not A6. That's an umlaut. Okay, there must be... Oh, yeah. Wrong spelling. There we go. Yeah, 200 jumps, that is what I expected. And yeah, as expected, no dotted line. Good signs all around. Okay, one final look at the modules. I see here, okay, thrusters powered on, yes. Guardian frameshift drive booster. Well, I guess we got it all, right? And let me get my clicker to manually count the number of jumps. So I haven't yet decided how many jumps a day I want to do. I initially thought that like 1,000 light years a day, you know, would would make this madness end a bit quicker. But well, that's 200 jumps. That's something like, you know, the witch space tunnel included. 200 jumps takes about 2 hours at best and 3 to 4 hours at worst. Investing this much a day is a bit much, so I guess I'll try to stick to my 100 jumps a day. Yeah, which will make this whole thing take 200 days, so won't reach Beagle until November or something like that. Would have to have a look at the spreadsheet. But yeah. Oh yeah, here's another potential call sign for my Castellan. You know, instead of dad joke, spreadsheet, because this guy loves spreadsheets. We have like, I don't know, a document with I think close to a dozen spreadsheets or something. The guy just loves planning, but well, he is an awesome chap, so let's not begrudge him that. Well, without further ado, let's see if I manage to not scratch my hull. On takeoff. Oh, landing gear. Ah, yeah, there we go. Told ya. See? Yeah. Quite sure I'm never gonna live this down, but, well. Anywho. .9 light years, you know. Can't remember the last time jumped this short. Alright, here we go. You can now watch the most boring documentation stream ever. Because that's all it's gonna be. Jumping, jumping, jumping. Plus my annoying voice, but, you know, who wants to hear that? Well, here we go. Journey has started. Off to a good start. Area Gloris, Commanders, and see you in the black.